You see me on court a lot playing or training in my racket reviews. So how do I prepare myself to get on court to play or train at my best? We need to warm up. So today I'll be sharing with you the warm-up exercises that I personally found are very effective in order to get me ready and in shape to go on court and play the absolute best. And to avoid injury at the same time. But let's also not forget that cool downs are equally as important to promote recovery and again reduce the chance of injuries. So let's get started. The first thing I like to do when warming up is a gentle jog, as this helps to gradually start increasing your heart rate and gets the blood pumping around your body. So you can see me and my training partner here doing this jog. Increasing your heart rate is vital before playing badminton or any form of exercise for that matter, in order for you to perform at your maximum as soon as you're ready. So after the gentle jog, we then went straight into sidestep, and this again is a great warm-up exercise, particularly for badminton. As you can see, we are sidestepping across the width of 3 courts, changing the leg you lead with on the way back. This activity uses a different set of muscles to when you're moving forwards or backwards, so it activates these potentially underused muscles, making sure you're ready for lots of side-to-side movements when we are playing badminton. We then went into the Chassé, and this warm-up exercise is particularly useful for badminton, as when you think about being on court, you are constantly changing direction, which is exactly what this exercise does. You can see we are pushing off with both feet, doing 2 side steps diagonally before switching direction. The key to this exercise is keeping it controlled, staying on the balls of your feet, keeping your knees bent and focusing on the correct movement pattern. The next activity we did were high knees and kickbacks or heel flicks. Both of these activities are great full leg warm-ups, activating your leg muscles. High knees also activate your abdominal muscles. A lot of your balance comes from your core, so activating these muscles are vital to remaining stable on court and be able to control your movements. Again, we're using the width of the court for this activity and doing high knees on the way there and kickbacks or heel flicks on our return. You can always repeat or add more if you feel like you want to do more for your warm-up. You're in charge, so make all the adjustments you need. Personally, next, I think lunges are one of the most important warm-up exercises. As badminton players, we lunge every time we go into a forecourt to do a net shot or to the side to retrieve a smash. So ensuring our lunges are controlled is vital for great performance. So what we're doing here are walking lunges, switching legs each time we go forward, and as you can see, we're focusing on remaining stable and balanced. Another key skill we need as badminton players is agility. So the next warm-up activity I go into here is what we call the karaoke. This exercise for me warms up my obliques with the twisting and turning. You can do this exercise fast or slow, but as this is a warm-up, I generally take it quite easy. But if you're doing this fast, this could really help out with quick feet, which is an essential skill for the change of speed on court that we need. So our last heart-raising exercise here are sprints. Now it's important that sprints are done at the end of your warm-up, because sprinting without your body being warm is really dangerous. So there's a high chance of injury if you do this cold. However, doing this at the end is great because it prepares your body for maximum intensity as soon as you step on court after your warm-up. So moving on to stretches, and it's beneficial to do some dynamic stretches, and here in this video you'll see me doing some leg swings, arm swings, and opening and closing of the gate to prepare our hips and legs at the same time. So all these help with flexibility, agility, and acceleration before you get on court for some serious training or games. So here comes a part where I religiously do as part of my warm-up, and it's related to the shoulder and the rotator cuff muscles. So the rotator cuff muscles are 4 little muscles around our shoulder and scapula, where it helps us move our arm and shoulder around, also helping the bigger muscle groups during arm movements and swings. Unsurprisingly, they get used a whole lot during badminton, and most people often neglect them, including me, until I had a big injury in 2016, where I was competing in a tournament and 2 out of the 4 rotator cuff muscles decided to give up midway through a match, and my shoulder also decided to pop out at the same time. It wasn't pretty, and I was out of action for 2 years and could not play due to pain. So this has now ultimately been sorted, and now if I'm naughty and I miss my strengthening and mobility exercises on my shoulder, I won't be able to play. So here's the warm-up exercise I do to at least get the shoulder and the rotator cuff muscles activated before I start any form of hitting. So the only thing you need here for these exercises is a resistance band or TheraBand. So a simple one where I start with is having my elbows at 90 degrees angle and tucked into my rib cage before slowly pulling the TheraBands apart, focusing on squeezing the back of your scapula. I do this for about 15 to 20 reps of this to get started. Then the next 3 exercises are looking more at the shoulder and deltoid muscles for stability. Step on the band for the right resistance and pull it upwards to focus on the front of the deltoid. Then repeat the same thing by going outwards, and I generally don't go above my head for these exercises. I do them for about 15 to 20 reps each, before moving on to the little back deltoid muscle, which might be quite hard to figure out at the start, but I make sure my back is straight and bend my knees to be around 45 degrees angle and straighten my elbow whilst pulling my shoulder backwards. You should feel your small muscle on the back of your deltoid working for this. Repeat about the same 12 to 15 reps for this. So if this isn't enough, you can then also repeat the whole set of 4 exercises again for a better warm-up. I then go into what I call some freestyle movements to get myself loose. First, I start with some shoulder circles where I move my outstretched arms clockwise and anti-clockwise. Next, I then do the same racket swing movements, focusing on bringing my elbow forward during the swing phase to get some mobility and movement into it to prepare my shoulder, which leads me straight into some freestyle swimming movements. I then finish off with some fist circles where I essentially make circles with my fist with my elbow tucked in around 90 degrees for some bicep and tricep movements as well. So after these activities, you'll be ready to go on and play your best. And whilst you're there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe too. So now after your game and you're exhausted, sweaty and ready to go home, but it's vital that you really take the time to cool down properly and effectively to make sure you're not sore or aching the next day, and most importantly to reduce the chance of injury. So it's a good idea to start again with a gentle jog, and this will slowly start to bring your heart rate down. If you go straight into static stretches, this sudden decrease in heart rate may make you feel lightheaded, and doing a jog eases that transition from stress to rest. Make sure it's a very gentle jog and don't put more stress on your body after a tough session. So after your jog, you're ready to go into those static stretches, and these really aid a speedy recovery so you're ready to play again as soon as possible. You want to be stretching all those major muscle groups that you've just used for your badminton game, so that's your thighs, calves, hamstring, wrists, shoulders and etc. You should be aiming to hold each static stretch for at least 30 seconds for effectiveness. So to start with, I generally start with my quads and hamstrings before using the butterfly stretch for my hips and thighs. I then use the wall to really stretch out those calves at the same time. So then for my inner groin stretch, I squat down but place one leg out to the side, fully extended, creating a great stretch for this muscle. I again use the wall to stretch out my shoulder, extending it out behind me by placing my hand flat onto the wall. It's also a good chest and bicep stretch if you place it above your shoulder. And finally, I just stretch out my wrist by gently bending back my fingers and holding this position on each hand. These stretches are really useful in helping with general day-to-day flexibility and mobility at the same time. Remember, being flexible is free access to more power and less injuries. So if you're like me who sits at the desk all day, you can do do some of these stretches to help with your own flexibility too. Remember to raise your heart rate slightly first by doing an on-the-spot jog before going to these static stretches. So now you know how effectively warm up and cool down. Try these out for yourself and let me know down in the comment section below what you think. And if you've got any great warm up or cool down exercises of your own, let me know down below and I'll give them a go. I hope you found this video useful, and remember to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.